Since the very beginning of this podcast, I have said that I don't have all the answers. I'm just one person out of many figuring it out as I go. That's why I love bringing on guests with their own unique stories, their own styles, and their own perspectives on this industry. And today's guest, she delivers all of that and then some. DJ Lexey is a Palm Beach, Florida-based electric violinist and DJ who's built a totally glam, high-energy career performing at corporate and private events across Florida and beyond. We talked about her journey away from the violin and what brought her back, plus how she juggles her schedule, how she creates content, and most of all, how she supports fellow performers with real generosity. Y'all, she's the real deal, and I think you are absolutely going to love her. Are you a classically trained violinist dreaming of stepping out of the orchestra and into the spotlight, but maybe the world of solo gigs feels intimidating? You're not alone. Welcome to The Glam Violinist, the podcast that empowers classically trained musicians to build thriving careers as sought-after entertainers. I'm your host, Celeste V, and each week we'll break down the secrets to getting the gigs you've been dreaming of. Get ready to unleash your inner rock star and turn your passion into a paycheck. Let's get glamorous. Well, first of all, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. This has been
it's my pleasure.
There's just so many violinists out there who are trying to figure out how to do this on their own. And I'm looking at people who are already successful and have figured it out, as you have, I'm sure, with little to no mentorship or guidance. You know, it's not like there's people out there doing trainings for how to become a pop violinist or how to become a DJ violinist.
Right.
So I admire every single person who has figured it out and found their own niche and learned how to market themselves. So
Yeah. And I'm glad you're having this conversation because I think it's needed, so hopefully people that are in our industry or maybe looking to come into it can get a lot of knowledge out of it. So I also am happy to collaborate with you in any respect because I wish this existed,
yeah,
whenever that we started, right?
exactly. Exactly. So how do you explain what you do to people?
I mean, I think I've been a musician, that's the broad term, almost my whole life. So I started piano when I was in diapers, 2, 3 years old, something like this. When I got to choose an instrument, piano was kind of like a requirement, that was chosen for me by my parents. And then I chose violin when I was 7 years old, just going into elementary school. And, you got to pick an instrument. And I think just got really lucky with an amazing teacher that was patient and saw that I had some talent. So I'm really grateful for that start there. And it was just, your normal elementary school kind of training. And then she saw that I could do more. So we got a private teacher and I kind of continued on with it, just doing orchestra work, solo work, all kinds of things that I could get my hands on. And I did really enjoy it and see that I could progress and get better with it. So I guess I tell people that am a violinist, but also a good half portion of my life I spent DJing. So I can't skip out on that. Violin took me through elementary school, middle school, and high school. And then I wanted to get into a school for violin, like Juilliard or Curtis, like something serious that was going to be, prestigious. And I was on that track, but I guess I just wasn't good enough, which was hard to grapple with, I guess, when you're at that age and you grow up in a smaller town and you're the best. And then all of a sudden you're told, oh, you're not that good though, compared to the rest of the world. So I had to come to grips with that. And I quit abruptly. So I never wanted to play again. I was like, forget it. This is over. And, taking a 180 turn, I was like, I'm going to DJ. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure this out. And this was all in New York City. So at the time, there wasn't very many DJs that were female. I was like, I like this. I can do it. I want to do something different. And I kind of just fell into that. So I abruptly stopped violin, started DJing. And then really only through COVID did I kind of bring those two things back together. So like 2020-ish, when my life in New York was canceled, like everything, all my events, everything was done. And I have this violin still, in this passive aggressive relationship with like laying here. And I'd taken it out a couple times just to make sure it's like your classical acoustic instrument, like that it's not getting damaged or anything from all the temperature changes. So I was like, let me try this, So I kind of just played around with it with DJ tunes that I was playing and then incorporating violin into it and trying to pick out the melodies and now improvise rather than do classical, which is all I'd done all my life. So I kind of combined a lot of things there. So I DJ and violin, electric violin now, and that was kind of like my little story that brought me to this point.
Is so cool. I've wondered for years that I've been watching you what your story was. I actually did the opposite. I was asked to DJ for a few weddings during COVID when they were doing really small weddings. They didn't want to hire,
Okay.
a DJ and a violinist. I was like, oh, I can do this. So I got myself a little controller and I
Yeah.
practiced a little bit and really reinforced that it's such a different skill set and it takes just as much practice as learning an instrument.
Right.
And so I admire you so much because I've since then I'm like, I don't DJ. I will play with the DJ.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, it's great to know both sides. Like I think in any industry to know what the other jobs are doing, right? Just so you can better explain to them what your needs are and they can understand you and you can understand what they're struggling with or what might be stressing them out or the fact that you're talking to them like while they're blending two songs and it's like so irritating and like their thoughts are like shh, 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 like stop, 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 like now, but unless you know what they're up to, like you really don't know, so
When I look at your events that you are posting on social media, at least, it appears that you do a lot of like corporate and more social events. I don't see a ton of weddings in your feed. And
right.
I'm curious if that was intentional. Do you purposefully try to not do as many weddings, or do you do weddings and just not post about them? I'm just so curious about this.
I don't try to discriminate against weddings. It's just sometimes the corporate stuff just keeps going and going and going really quick and coming in fast. Weddings, it's a combination of things. Like if I'm truly DJing and doing violin and providing sounds and talking to them for months, like leading up to it, and I'm there on site, like honestly getting like content is just not my priority. I'm there for the couple. I also respect their privacy and whether or not they want anything of theirs online. So if I shoot, I try to maybe do something just of myself or like a sound check type of thing. So it's not like, showing off the couple without explicitly getting their permission. Like weddings are a lot of work. They're stressful. Like it's not just that day. It's a lot of the lead up to it. So it's much easier to do a corporate event where they say like, oh, we need you for 2 hours and like no other information is given. So you use your best judgment and you come in and then you're done 2 hours later and you don't have to, do anything else like leading up to it. So it's much easier and
It's funny because when I started Violin Event Entertainment, my company, I'd stopped marketing toward weddings because I was really exhausted working every weekend, and corporate
yeah,
events can happen more during the week. So I had cut
right.
all of my marketing. I was starting to really switch to trying to get more corporate events and less weddings when
Sure.
I had this crazy idea of like, well, what if I could duplicate myself? Like, what if I don't have to turn down the weddings? I can just send somebody else. And that's
Yeah.
really how my business came about. I love
Okay.
what you said about corporate because they really are less details, less special requests, a lot less kind of pressure because it's not like the most important day of their lives.
Right, right,
So I
right.
enjoy that because I can just show up and do what I'm really good at. It's not
Yeah.
Not that it's about me, but it's more about me. It's like, hey, we just want somebody to entertain our guests, make them feel good. It's
Yeah, for
I need
sure.
you to play my song and I need you to do exactly like this. And I love that. It just gives a lot of
Oh,
freedom.
for sure.
And I just
It's a good time to experiment too, right? Like if you want to try out some new songs, it's like low pressure and you're it's like practice, but you happen to be dressed up and out and getting paid for it. And you're like, oh, okay. Like it's just like to me, it's the most laid back and I totally agree with you.
So I'm curious about outsourcing. Do you do everything yourself? Or do you outsource anything of your business? I'm curious about kind of your whole philosophy and approach to the all the stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean there's so much to do. People don't realize it's not like a 1 hour cocktail hour. First, it's, doing music since you were 3 years old, like practicing it. Like there's so much that goes into it. And sometimes you're forced to explain that to somebody. There's a lot of time management, I think I've learned over the years, and I just think having a family is a big aspect of it. Like you have to first prioritize that you're doing things that are worth it, that are not just, killing time. You're not going too far off for the same money that you could get here close to home. When I book a gig, I have kind of like three places it's going in. So, we exchange emails, we do a phone call, my notes get transferred to, a calendar. In the calendar, I have the time, the place, the client, the contact number, what equipment I'm bringing, how much they're getting paid. Did I ask for, like, I have a whole thing there. So that's like my one place. That's my, iCal. I have an iPhone, so iCal, but you can use whatever you want. But all of that information is there. I send the invite, to home. So like they all know what's going on. So they agree. So like everybody's on the same page. Then I go into, do I need to staff somebody to help me with equipment? Do I need an extra violinist? Do I need anything else? I put notes on what to wear. I try to ask all those questions. So when the event comes, I can glance at it and be like, boom, okay, two speakers, this, and I can just rattle off the information or share it with somebody that's helping me or just myself, like prepared in the morning. So then that's also backed up into like a spreadsheet that I keep more for finances. And there I have the same thing, like the invoice number, the event name, the time, the place, the deposit, the what's been paid. As things are paid, I check it off. So like I have to do this meticulously or like you can totally get lost because like the events are coming fast. Like I don't have time to think about it or keep it in my head. So I just need that backup of like just glance at the phone, like what's happening today? Okay, this is what I need. They owe me money. I need to like remind them to, pay the second half of the deposit. So that's that basically. So I guess that's two places. And then, the third is in my head and like trying to make notes and things like this just as I go through the day to just reminders, like set, timers or whatever calendar things to let you know it's time to leave or, how much time you have, that kind of stuff. So super important to keep like a good calendar. That would be my advice with all the information necessary and try to get it all out of the client within the first, 1 to 2 conversations rather than going back and like, oh, I forgot to ask, is there a theme? Is there a color scheme? Like
Yeah.
ask it right away so that you have it all and
You send a questionnaire at all, or do you get most of these details via phone calls?
yeah, emails or phone calls. I find like email, I can just kind of have the little bullet points and they come right back to me with the answers to my bullet points. And that's pretty much all we need. And again, this is more for corporate. So we're not talking about like,
Yeah.
what songs are meaningful to you or like, as you would for like a bride or something like this. Like, because that's much more of like a building a connection with humans and corporate's a little, I don't know, more rigid.
It's true. It's very true. And then for like all the marketing stuff that you have great reels. How do you get content? Do you take somebody with you? Do you use a tripod? Do you hand your phone to a guest? What do you do to get those little 30-second blips that you just desperate, we all need that. And
Yeah.
how do
Um,
you,
I'm not the best at it by all means. Like I don't I have videographers I've worked with before, but sometimes it's just not in the budget to bring them, or it's hard to find also people that are consistent and can show up. So here and there I'll have a videographer if it's an important event. But yeah, sometimes you just end up having to put your phone down somewhere and take a little bit of content, or you show up early enough, you have some time to bother, the event planner, or, a bartender that's standing around not doing anything yet, so no shame in asking people. And usually people will just do it. And I'm asking for, 45 seconds of your time. I'm not asking for a lot. And I say thank you. And, if there's other artists, I try to help them, we help each other get what you need, reciprocal kind of videos there. And, you make another connection, follow each other on Instagram, support each other, that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't really outsource the video editing. I've tried to my 10-year-old daughter. Sometimes I'm like, here are 8 videos, like make this into a 30-second, because they all know like tech very well. So she uses CapCut and she did quite well. So sometimes, if she's in the right mood, I'll send it to her and I'm like, make this into like a 30-second video. And I'll give her some feedback on it. But sometimes I schedule that in my calendar. Like I'm gonna take this hour to go through these 2, 3 big events that I have a lot of content from. I try to post 3 posts from one event, so just the Instagram feed looks nice. So I try to kind of think about it. How can I make what content I got? Like, should I do pictures for one, this video for another, this one I got great audio from, so let me do that. And then I do all 3 at the same time and then just schedule the content to come out every 2 days or whatever it may be. Yeah, again, it's just time management and like scheduling every little piece of your life and devoting the time like you said you would, not trying to do it so much on the fly, but like actually like designating a time for it. So it gets done.
thank you for sharing that. That's very daunting to some people who are just getting started, asking somebody to take a video of them or learning how to do their own editing.
You'll never see them again. Just don't worry
I
about
know. And really, honestly, like you said, usually they're happy to do it, especially
it.
like
Yeah.
like they're usually like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, and again, it's not like you're asking them to take 5 minutes. You're literally asking for, I say 30 to 45 seconds. The payoff is so huge to get that
Right.
one 30 to 45-second video that it's worth sucking up your pride and just asking.
Yeah. I think maybe in the beginning you're nervous about it, but like anything, it's like muscle memory. You get used to it. And it's just the fact of approaching another person. So you have to do it for this job anyway. So you better get good at approaching them for other reasons too.
Exactly. Thank you very much for being honest and
Of
sharing that.
course.
Something I try to teach people all the time, and it's a hard one for some.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice that you wish somebody had given you earlier in your career?
Hmm. Just one. That's a great question. I think I would say, depending on your market and where you are, I would say learn to work with people and not try to work against them, fighting for work. Like, learn that you'll get more out of collaborating with someone rather than beating them to like a client or booking the client before them. Because I think in whatever market you're in, what we do is quite unique. You're gonna run into the same people over and over again. You will get much further by being friendly with them. There will come a day when you can't do the gig and you need to refer it out to somebody. You'll want those good people that you are competing against to be in your corner and now working with you rather than against you. So I would say take in all other artists and musicians as somebody that you can collaborate with and not work against. And I think that's exactly what you're doing too, is like, there's the gigs are gonna keep coming. Like it's never about, getting hurt feelings or something like when somebody gets something booked or like, you find out something's been done like behind your back and you're like, oh, like I thought, I had a relationship with this. Don't take it personal. Like there's so many other things that could have happened that might have like excluded you. Like don't take personal offense to it and just keep it moving and try to be friendly with everybody. Just try to take the higher road and support each other rather than like work against someone. So I would say that.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, I couldn't ask for a better way to wrap up this conversation because that is literally what this whole podcast is about. It's
Yeah, for
not,
sure.
not about competition, it's about collaboration, it's about there's plenty of work for everyone. It's supporting
Yeah.
each other. And maybe you get a client, and I've done this before, a client who reaches out to me and they have a specific niche that they are wanting music from or something. And I'm like, you know what? I could do it, but I actually know somebody who could do it better. And
Yeah,
having
absolutely.
the humility and the confidence that you're going to get other gigs, what you just said is priceless because that's really what I want to create here with this
Sure.
podcast. It's just this community of of violinists who can encourage each other, refer each other, answer questions, and help each other get to where they want to be maybe more quickly than if they're just doing it on their own. So thank
Yeah, for
you
sure.
for that. That's
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful. Well, Lexi, thank you again for joining me today. This has
of
been
course.
such a pleasure. I've been looking forward to actually connecting with you for years, and so this has been a treat
Yeah.
for me.
No, I'm glad, and I hope we get to work in person at some point together.
Absolutely would love that. Well, take care, and I
Thank
will
you
be
so
in
much.
touch soon. Have a lovely weekend.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
And that's it for today, everybody. If you haven't already followed Lexey, please go find her on Instagram. She's at DJ Lexey _violin_DJ. I'll put that in the show notes also. And let me know what you thought about this conversation, if you enjoyed it, what questions it brought up. You can always find me on Instagram at @TheCelesteV or on my updated website at www.celesteve.com. That's CELESTEVEE.com. Thank you so much for listening, and remember to stay kind and stay glamorous.